If you have an upcoming presentation or essay due for one of your classes, you'll most likely need to use information from scholarly or peer-reviewed articles and provide citations. I'm the .Nerdy.Professor, and in this video I'll cover how to find quality journal articles, how to keep multiple sources of information organized, and why, when, and how to cite your sources. Once you have identified the topic for your assignment and are gathering data, make sure your sources are of the highest quality. Popular sources of information like WebMD, Wikipedia, Quora, or other websites can include a lot of useful information, but they aren't always accurate, can be outdated, and they're not reliable. These sources should generally not be included in the assignment if you're asked to convey scholarly information. Unless you have a particularly good reason, it may be frowned upon to use your instructor's PowerPoint slides, lectures, or course notes as a primary source of information. This is because most instructors want you to do your own work, find other sources of information, and interact with the current literature that you discover. Using an article in a scholarly journal is generally considered a good source of information. Scholarly articles are written by an expert in the field for other experts or students. While the terms scholarly and peer-reviewed are sometimes used interchangeably, there are some important differences. Peer-reviewed articles are always scholarly, but scholarly articles are not always peer-reviewed. For a peer-reviewed article to be published, it must go through a rigorous process of being evaluated and critiqued by another expert in the field to ensure the highest quality. When using your school's online library, you should be able to filter searches so that only scholarly or peer-reviewed articles are shown. While all search engines are laid out a little differently, here's an example of how the button you're looking for may appear. Once you start compiling the sources to use, it's crucial you have a good organizational system. The important thing is you find what works for you. Without a good system, you're more at risk for copying material word for word from an article or presenting information without citing. Later on in this video, I'll show you a tried and true method I use called the medium pizza. You should cite anytime you present the ideas, data, information, or important words from another source. Common knowledge that's widely known doesn't need to be cited, though this is a relative term and it can be hard to define. When in doubt, it's best to cite. Citations give credit to the original source for the ideas, data, or information presented. Not only do citations protect you from idea plagiarism, citations also give your paper more credibility when scholarly or peer-reviewed sources are referenced. When presenting information in a journal or other source, you'll need to provide an in-text citation. An in-text citation is a quick way to reference a source. There are two types of in-text citations: parenthetical and narrative. A parenthetical citation is when you list the author or author's last names, comma, the year the article was published inside the parentheses at the end of the sentence. Here's a completely made-up example. The second kind of in-text citation is called a narrative citation. This is when you integrate the author's last name into the sentence, including the year in parentheses. Here's a made-up example. In the event your source has 3 or more authors, you'll only list the first author's last name followed by et al. Period, comma, the year. The term et al. Comes from the Latin phrase et alia, which means and others. Here's a made-up parenthetical in-text citation for 3 or more authors. If you use the same sentence for a narrative in-text citation, it would look like this. Avoid saying studies show or researchers found. While this conveys to the reader that the ideas you presented aren't yours, it says nothing about who came up with these ideas or the reliability of the source. Instead, provide a citation. Anytime you provide an in-text citation, you also need to make sure you provide a corresponding reference on the reference page. You shouldn't have any references listed without a citation, and you shouldn't have any citations listed without a reference. Earlier in this video, I mentioned I would show you an example of a way to help you keep your sources organized to avoid idea plagiarism, word plagiarism, and common mistakes like not listing a whole reference for an in-text citation. I call the graph above the medium pizza. Why is it called this? Because pizza is my favorite food, and just like a medium-sized pizza, this graph has 6 slices of information. The first slice helps organize your sources in numerical order. Because I only have one source in this made-up example, I'll only need 1 row. For the second slice, you'll provide a complete APA reference for your source. This is so you can easily find your source later if needed. For the third slice, you'll paraphrase information from the source that you think is important. Remember, paraphrased material should be in your own words. It's not enough to switch a few words out. Paraphrased sentences must be unique to avoid word plagiarism. It's important you keep your paraphrase points separated with a letter like I did. In this example, I included 2 points, letter A and B, but you should include as many as you need. For the next slice, you'll state whether or not you included any of the paraphrased points in the main body of your paper. For the made-up example, I included point A in the hypothetical paper, but not point B. For the 5th slice, you'll indicate whether or not you included an in-text citation for the paraphrased material in your paper. If so, you'll want to make sure the in-text citation is listed in full on the reference page.